Welcome to Ask the Expert North Texas. Thanks for staying with us. I'm David Rankin.
And I'm Kristen Diaz. We've got Jerry Reynolds, the car pro, joining us today. And we want to talk a little bit about the car industry and potential effects of the rising interest rates that we've been talking about recently. The Feds last week met and decided they were going to raise interest rates 0.75 points. And so that is going to affect car loans. And Jerry, how do you think that's going to affect people's buying power now moving into the future?
Well, it certainly doesn't help anything. I'll tell you that. When you look at everything combined, from the vehicle shortages that started a year ago, March, and car prices being up now 13.5% from a year ago, and the shortages and everything else that goes on. And really, this goes back to COVID, was when the dealers really started struggling. They were shut down in some counties here in North Texas. But anytime interest rates go up, it affects the monthly payment, which most people are the most worried about. I mean, it changes their buying decision. It changes the kind of vehicle they buy, the equipment on that vehicle. So, with everything else going on right now, that is certainly not going to help.
There are always questions about where you should get your financing before you go buying a new car. Some dealers like to bring in their own finance people, or you can come in pre-approved for something. What's the best way to go? What's the best research people should be doing when they're looking to finance a car?
Well, they need to know exactly what interest rate that they can get on their own. Most people have a bank or a credit union they have an affiliation with. It's smart to talk to them before you go to a dealership and get the exact rate that you can get, and get it for several intervals: 60 months, 66, 72. I hate 84-month financing, but I got a funny feeling we're going to see more of that now that interest rates are up. But know what you can get. Let the dealer then have an opportunity to match that rate, or possibly even beat it. They have sources that they can do a lot with financing, because that's all some finance companies do is automobiles, and they know the market. So if the dealer can match or beat the interest rate that you've got, it's just a lot easier and faster to do. And one trend we've seen over the past year is some dealers will not accept outside financing. They won't take your bank or credit union because they want to make a little bit of money. They're getting so few opportunities due to the fact that cars are so short in supply. They've got to maximize every deal, every car that they sell. But I've had listeners call and tell me, hey, I tried to use my own credit union. They wouldn't accept it. Okay, that's easy. Finance with the dealership, turn around within 30 days, pay off the note with your own financing, and refinance it. It's simple.
Let's talk about when you actually do make a purchase. There are some people out there, they don't have the luxury of waiting for interest rates to go back down. They need a car now. And so when you buy a vehicle, some dealerships will offer you like maintenance rolled into your payment. Is that worth spending the money, considering how prices are just so variable nowadays?
I'm a big believer in extended warranties. Typically one claim and they'll pay for themselves over time. I'm also a believer in gap insurance, which covers you if your insurance company doesn't pay the entire amount in the event of a total or a stolen car that is not recovered. And I especially believe in gap right this minute because you're paying more for cars now than ever. I mean, every new car almost is selling at sticker price. So unless you've got a big down payment, insurance company is going to pay your replacement value. It has nothing to do with how much you owe. So I'm a big believer in that, especially right now. Prepaid maintenance, that's on an individual basis. I mean, the plus side of it is you're paying for maintenance down the road on today's prices. And so many times these things keep going up and up and up. But, it's just up to the person. Sometimes they find it easier if you're going to use the dealer you're buying from to also do your service, it's a good idea to look at it.
You talk about 60, 66, 72 month financing on cars. And you mentioned 84, but we're hanging on to our cars a lot longer, and paying for a car for 7 years seems like an awful lot of car payments. But in the end, can you make it work if you're planning to hang on to the car?
If you can, if that's the only way you can get to the payment that you're that's acceptable to you, that fits within your budget, and you sure don't want to overextend yourself. We're seeing a lot of that right now. I don't mind telling you, the finance companies, the captive finance companies that are owned by the automakers, Ford Credit, Toyota Financial, et cetera, they're having a real problem right now with repossessions. But, what I tell people is, if you've got to go 84 months, you may be looking at too much car, because when you calculate the amount of interest on an 84-month loan, especially now the interest rates are going up, it's a ton of money. And the 72-month payment isn't all that different. So maybe if you can just cut out a couple of options, maybe if you just put a little bit more money down, you can get there and stay at that 72-month, because in that length of time, if something happens and you need to get out of the car, an 84-month loan is very difficult to do.
Anything else you think our listeners need to know about car buying at this time?
Well, I think that one of the big things is, we haven't had much in the way of incentives over the past year. Cars are short. They sell before they ever get to the lot primarily. They haven't needed any incentives, but there is still and has been some 0% financing out there. I think we'll see that dwindle off really fast. The good news is incentives are set in advance. So let's take today. The incentives for June were set at the 1st of June. They'll run through the entire month. In this particular case, they'll run through the 4th of July weekend. So if you want to get some 0% financing and the car that you're interested in has that available, I would jump on it. I think that 0% is going to go away, because the cost of the automaker to buy down the rate with that 0.75% increase we just saw went up a lot. I think they'll eliminate that after the July 4th weekend. So be mindful of that. Some people love 0%, and I don't blame them. Free money's free money. There's no rebates out there to speak of right now. There's certainly no lease deals out there right now. So if you're one of those people who say, hey, I want to get that 0%, I'd say you need to do something ASAP.
Jerry Reynolds, the Car Pro, on today's Ask the Expert. Thanks so much.
Thank y'all. Have a good day.